Welcome to a quiet corner of medieval Europe, a time when the ordinary rhythms of life were shattered by an invisible terror. This was the era of the Black Death, a plague that swept across towns and villages, leaving silence, sorrow, and stories whispered in the fog. Today, we journey softly through the haunted memories left by those dark years. We will listen to the ghosts of the past, not the loud or violent spirits, but the quiet shadows that followed the dead, the restless souls, and the fearful hearts of the living. As you settle in, imagine yourself walking through a misty street, where every breath is heavy with cold and dread, and the silence speaks louder than any word. You awake slowly to a damp dawn in your village, the chill in the air pressing into your bones through threadbare clothes. The sky is a pale gray, and a thick mist clings to the cobblestones like a shroud. Your home is quiet. Too quiet. You remember that last night, a neighbor fell ill again. The black blotches spreading across their skin like marks of death itself. You have heard the rumors, the whispers, those who die must be buried quickly, lest their restless spirits rise. You step outside and notice the empty streets, shuttered windows, and the scent of smoke from distant funeral pyres. The church bells toll solemnly, calling the faithful to pray, but many in the village have already succumbed. You wonder who will answer this time. The local priest murmurs prayers against the plague, but his voice is tired, strained. Villagers gather cautiously, wearing amulets or carrying sprigs of herbs to ward off evil, the invisible enemy, both disease and spirit. At night, you hear soft footsteps outside your window. But when you look, no one is there. Some say the dead wander, searching for peace or revenge. Others claim shadows move with minds of their own. You fasten your cloak tight and keep your lantern close. Each creak of the wooden floor or whisper in the wind sends your heart racing. The plague is not only a sickness of the body but a terror of the soul. It breeds ghost stories as much as it spreads death, each tale a fragile hope or a desperate warning. Tonight, as you lay your head down on a thin straw mattress, you wonder what will come with the next dawn, and which voices in the fog will still be there to greet it. You find yourself in a village churchyard, the soil still soft from recent burials. The graves are hastily dug, rows of shallow pits, marked with crude wooden crosses or scraps of cloth. You hear the murmur of anxious voices, whispers of fear among the villagers and clergy alike. Stories circulate that some bodies do not rest. In Yorkshire, people speak of revenants, corpses that rise from their graves, walking the night in search of vengeance or unfinished business. They say these restless dead are the result of improper burial rites or souls trapped by sudden, violent deaths. You hear the tale of a man who, after being buried too quickly, appeared again, his eyes glowing faintly in the moonlight, his hands clawing at the wooden coffin. Villagers fled in terror, fearing his touch would bring illness or death. The church warns of the dangers of such spirits. They preach that the soul must be released through prayer and proper rites, but in the chaos of the plague, these rituals are often rushed or forgotten. Fear grows that the plague dead might not only haunt their homes but spread pestilence anew. You learn of the term vrikalakas in nearby regions, undead beings that prey on the living, feared to be plague carriers in spectral form. Tales tell of them climbing through windows, or hiding under beds, always watching. In towns across Europe, priests perform exorcisms at gravesides, chanting prayers to hold the dead down. Bell ringers toll the dead's passing, their ringing said to keep spirits at bay. You watch as a fearful family huddles near a freshly dug grave. An old man recounts how his cousin was seen wandering the streets, pale and silent, hours after his funeral. Others say that seeing a revenant foretells further death or misfortune. Despite the terror, some villagers try to be kind to these ghosts, leaving food and candles by graves or crossing themselves as they pass, hoping the spirits find peace. You feel the weight of this dread, not just of the living disease, but of restless souls struggling to cross over, caught in the liminal space between life and death. As night falls and fog rolls in, you hear faint footsteps again. This time, closer, almost beside you. You steady your breath and remind yourself, these stories are part of the world you live in now, where death walks beside you, both in body and spirit. The village dawn breaks again, heavy with fog and silence. Outside your window, a lone crow caws, its sharp call cutting through the still air. You have heard that such birds are harbingers of death, their presence a warning from the spirit world. Across England and Germany, folk speak of spectral dogs, large, shadowy beasts with glowing eyes, said to prowl near plague-stricken homes. Known as Black Shuck or the Schwarzer Hund, these phantom hounds are believed to be messengers of doom, appearing before someone's death or disaster. You imagine seeing one at the edge of a field, its breath steaming in the cold night. Villagers say to avoid looking directly at its eyes, lest it mark you for death. Others tell stories of dogs that guide lost souls to the afterlife or protect the innocent from malevolent spirits. Death omens come in many forms. Some say the ringing of bells at unexpected hours foretells passing spirits. Others watch the sky for mysterious lights or dark clouds shaped like crosses. In some regions, people whisper of the plague bearers, shadowy figures clothed in black, moving silently among the sick and dying. You notice that even the animals seem restless. Cats hide, birds fall silent, and livestock refuse to eat. The world itself feels off balance, as if nature mourns alongside humanity. In Germany, people speak of the Dunkelwolf, a ghostly wolf-like demon that prowls the forest edges, heralding death and misfortune. Its howl echoes on the wind, chilling the bones of those who hear it. Yet, these stories serve a purpose beyond fear. They are ways for people to make sense of the incomprehensible, the sudden loss, the invisible sickness, the fragile line between life and death. Communities develop signs and symbols to recognize and resist these omens. They carve crosses into doorframes, hang herbs and garlic, or place iron objects by windows to ward off evil spirits and death's messengers. You think back to the candle flickering in your cell, to the whispered prayers for protection, and to the flickering shadows cast by firelight. In this time of loss and fear, every sign, every story, is a thread connecting the living to the unseen world. As night deepens, and the howling wind carries distant cries, you feel the presence of these omens, both terrifying and strangely familiar, woven into the fabric of plague's haunted nights. As dawn softens the edges of the dark night, you find yourself once again walking through the village. Though many have fallen silent, life still clings to these narrow streets and humble homes. You notice the marks on doorframes, simple crosses etched into the wood, ash sprinkled at thresholds, and sprigs of rosemary hung like silent sentinels against the unseen. These are not mere decorations but ancient rituals passed down to keep wandering spirits at bay. Villagers light candles and burn incense, believing the smoke will cleanse the air of evil. Bell ringers climb their towers, tolling deep, sonorous calls not just for the dead but as a barrier against restless souls. You hear of the plague doctors, their strange beaked masks filled with fragrant herbs. While their masks shielded against the disease, some say the herbs also kept demons away. Families leave small offerings near graves, bread, wine, or coins, hoping to soothe the spirits and prevent their anger. In churches, priests recite prayers from dusty tomes, their voices steady and low. Some perform exorcisms to banish lingering demons from homes or bodies. Communities gather for ritual processions, walking through streets with crosses, holy water, and chants, creating a living shield of faith against the darkness. Yet, not all rituals are grand. Often, it is the quiet actions, crossing oneself before sleep, whispering a protective prayer, or simply lighting a candle in memory, that bring comfort. You reflect on how, in the shadow of death, these rituals offer not just protection but hope, a fragile promise that even in the face of plague and loss, the spirit can find peace. As evening falls and the village settles into uneasy calm, you feel a gentle presence, a blending of sorrow, faith, and quiet resilience. The ghosts of the Black Death remain part of this land's memory, woven into stories, songs, and silent prayers. And as you close your eyes, let their whispers fade into the gentle hush of night, carrying you softly into sleep.